The wait is almost over. We are so close to Cleveland Browns football actually being back. I'm talking meaningful football. Browns Bengals, week 1 from Cleveland. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, and I am just salivating at the thought of actual Browns football being played in what I'm going to dub as the most important season in franchise history as long as I've been alive. I'm 25 years old. I was not there for the Bernie days, but I'm telling you guys, this year is the biggest year in Cleveland Browns football in recent history. There is so much riding on this season. All the chips are in the middle of the table, and I'm confident. That's the best part. I'm not going to bed scared at night knowing that Deshaun Watson might not snap back into form or that Kevin Stefanski might not be the man for the job. I'm confident. I am ready for this crew to put up a lot of wins. I'm talking 11, 12-win season, baby. So if you're with me, like the video. Let's go Brownies. We are closing in on week 1. We've got real football. I've been the only one in the Chat Sports office for a month now saying football is not back. Really, until college football week 1. Not even week 0. That's pussy shit. But I'm talking week 1 college football. And honestly, quietly, I'm thinking of all Detroit teams. Chiefs, Lions, week 1 from Arrowhead. We're going to have some real football on Thursday, but then the Browns, Bengals from Cleveland on Sunday. I cannot wait. Now, shout out your city for me while we let the audience build up because we've got a lot to talk about on today's show. ESPN Cleveland, Tony Rizzo was talking about Jim Harbaugh coming to the Browns? What? Huh? We'll break all that down. Plus, we'll discuss the idea of Mike Evans being traded and a lot more on the show, including some matchups to watch for in that Browns-Bengals matchup. So, we've got depressed Browns fan tuning in from Westlake, Ohio. I've got Patterson in Indiana, Cambridge, Ohio. We've got a lot of people from the Buckeye State. That's what you want to see, including Tim Green. We've got Atlanta. Did I see Australia? Where's Australia? Did you say Australia? Oh, Canterbury, Australia, the capital. Most people don't know that. Good trivia fact right there. Yeah, they picked a city between Sydney and Melbourne. From Christopher, we've got Dublin, Eaton, Ohio, Columbus, Cleveland West Side, Decatur, Indiana, Sunbury, Ohio, Toledo. Keep getting those cities in the chat right now. Cool Guy called Zone, Behind Enemy Lines in Maryland. Joshua Miller, as always, in Michigan. Dylan is in Cleveland. I've got Mayfield, Ohio, Akron. Love to see it. So, with that being said, what is your confidence level in Kevin Stefanski right now? Scale it 1 to 10 for me. 10 being Kevin Stefanski is going to get us to the promised land. He is going to bring the Lombardi Trophy to Cleveland, Ohio. He is the man for the job. 1 being you are a horrible human being and you believe this season is going to be an absolute implosion and you do not want good things to happen in Northeast Ohio. For me, I'm at a solid 7.1. I'm at a 7.1. I'm above a 7, but I'm close to that 7 number. So mark me down as a 7.1, and it looks like 7 is a pretty common number right now. Josh is at an 8. Christopher's at a 10. We found Stefanski's burner. It's Christopher. Herman Turrington's at an 8. Patel's at a 7.4. Brody's at a 6. Ray's at a 6.6. Tim Green's at a 9.0034. Very specific, but I respect it. I've got a 1.2. Justin's at a 3.4. Depressed Browns fans at a 7.5. 7 looks like the most common number right now, and that seems fair because he did win NFL Coach of the Year, which that's a good award. It's a great award to win. It's kind of a kiss of death, right? Jason Garrett won Coach of the Year award. Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year award. Both those guys were shortly fired after winning it. So it's not a hall pass for the next 10 years or so because you have one good season. We know the NFL is the not-for-long league. It is what have you done for me lately league. And it is not going to go back in 2020 and bathe in just one postseason win against the Steelers, although I don't mind bathing in that victory because that was a very fun game. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, one more quick question I want to ask everyone. Over or under 9.5 wins for Cleveland this upcoming season? I am not just smashing the over. The button is going to be dust by the time I am done hitting it with a sledgehammer, because I am all in on the Browns through the roof on 9.5 wins this season. It is free money. It is the best bet you can make right now. The Browns are going to get over 9.5 wins. I don't have to be much more poetic about it. They are going to get to 10 wins. This team won 7 games last season, and they are more than just 3 games better at this point. So give me the over on 9.5. I'm seeing a lot of overs, and that's what I want to see right now, because for once, I'm not delusional. For once, we have reasoning to believe in the Cleveland Browns. This is the most talented roster we have ever seen. I don't think you guys really truly understand that just yet. There are backups on this team that would be good starters on other teams. Donovan Peoples-Jones could be a wide receiver 1 for the Atlanta Falcons right now. There's no question about it. Well, Drake London's really good, but he'd be a very good wide receiver, okay? You look at some other players that are just backups right now for the Browns that would have big roles on other teams. This team is uber talented. They've got all the keys to be successful, and I'm a believer. I am in on this. Now, before we get into the, meat and potatoes, the nuts and bolts of the show and whatnot, we do have a mailbag at the end of the show. So get those questions in right now. You can use hashtag Browns in the comment section in the live chat. That way our software can pull your question and put it on screen. Or if you want to go above and beyond, you want to support the show, Super Chats are always greatly appreciated, and we guarantee a spot on screen. So Super Chat, your way to being the MVP of today's live show. Now coming up, we've got the latest news and rumors as always. Plus, I'm going to look at 5 specific matchups for the Browns-Bengals Week 1 showdown and really get you guys just football ready. We all need a little bit of a football primer to kind of ease ourselves into football really being back. Not talking about fucking Tommy Togiai making the roster. I'm talking about actual football with the Cleveland Browns starters and Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And then we got that mailbag like I just mentioned. So hashtag Browns, or you can super chat and we will throw those questions on screen. Okay. Producer Trace, are we ready to rock and roll? Let's jump into it. Let's get into a live Cleveland Browns report. It is Bengals Hate Week here at the Cleveland Browns Report, and we did a like battle with our Bengals Breakdown channel at Chat Sports, and it was an absolute bloodbath. Beat them 715 to 101 in likes. Now, the second phase of this battle is going to be subscribers, and somehow the Bengals channel kind of showed out in the first few days of the week here. They got a 1 sub lead on us, but if I know anything about the dog pound, it is we are not about to lose another Battle of Ohio against the Bengals. The Browns have been dominating it under Kevin Stefanski. Let's keep that rolling right now by clicking the subscribe button. It is finally here. It is Browns-Bengals week. We are done talking about preseason football and backups making their roster and will Austin Watkins sneak on only to not play a single snap. No, we've got hardcore hitting football to talk about on today's show. And that leads us right into our first segment, which is, will Joe Burrow be out week 1? We are filming today's show during our live show, which airs every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern. And as of right now, I'm going to give this one Bernie head. I don't think it's a fake news, but I'm not going to, elevate it any more than just one Bernie head when it comes to Joe Burrow missing the first game of the 2023 NFL season. So head coach Zach Taylor spoke to the media on Monday, and he would not commit to Burrow playing Sunday like he did for some other players, which was interesting because some coaches take an approach of, we're not going to show our hand, we're not going to say one way or another if anyone's playing. That's not what Zach Taylor did. He confirmed that Chidobe Awuzie, the cornerback, is playing week 1. Didn't do that for Joe Burrow, which I found to be rather interesting. Now, Burrow suffered a calf strain on the second day of training camp, July 27th. We are 5-6 weeks past that point right now, so there was a lot of optimism for how early he suffered the injury in camp. He would be ready to go week 1, but calf strains are not, a casual injury you want to play with. If he's not ready to roll, the Bengals are not about to mortgage or forfeit the entire year for just one game because Well, they have bounced back from losing week 1 before to go to the AFC Championship game. Go look at last year, for example. Now, here's what Zach Taylor said exactly on Joe Burrow. I thought today was a really good day for him. It was encouraging to see, so we'll just take it one day at a time. So there's definitely a lot of optimism right now in Cincinnati that Joe Burrow will ultimately be ready to go, but Zach Taylor's not quite there yet to, put it in ink that he will play. Now go back to last season for a moment. I want to show you guys some stats here. Joe Burrow's stats for the first 2 weeks of the season. And if you remember, those first 2 weeks were both losses to the Pittsburgh Steelers and to the Dallas Cowboys without Dak Prescott. Now, Burrow was not bad in these games. He threw for 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks, though. But the second game, 200 yards almost, and a score and no interceptions. What I want to drive home right now is that Burrow missed all of training camp and preseason last year with an appendectomy surgery. After missing all of training camp and preseason this year, could we see a similar slow start for Burrow and the Bengals? And could the Browns be beneficiaries as this since they play Cincinnati in week 1? I'm going to say Burrow's going to play, and I want Burrow to play. I want Cincinnati at full strength. I'm not that guy. But the Bengals, they should be cautious about this. I don't think Cincinnati should be jumping into bed that Joe Burrow is going to be 110% and he's going to look like Cool Joe that has led Cincinnati nearly to a Super Bowl victory. We saw last year that missing the entire season of preseason and training camp, Joe Burrow was a little bit human in those first few weeks. And when you look at his overall stats in his career against the Browns, he has struggled. He is 1-4 all time. 1,400 yards, that's a good number through 5 games right there. That comes out to maybe a little under 300 yards a game. 10 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions. Denzel Ward can attest to that as well. But Joe Burrow against the Browns has not played his A game just yet. And with him coming off an injury that made him miss the entire training camp and preseason, there's a good chance he will not be on his A game week 1 against Cleveland either. But even Burrow's B game is still a really good game. Now, who you got in this first game? Browns or Bengals? Type CLE for Cleveland, CIN for Cincinnati. Let me know who you got in this showdown in Cleveland. Moving on to the second story on today's show. Jim Harbaugh. Is he coming to the Browns? This was on ESPN Cleveland today. It was on ESPN's mothership in Bristol. We're going to actually break the rules a little bit, Trace, for this one. I don't care. I do not care if Jim Harbaugh is going to come to the Browns if 2023 does not go well. I'm not thinking about who's going to replace Kevin Stefanski if this season is a colossal failure of some sort. I mean, this is something that we can have a conversation in January or February, but not right now. Not on the eve of what is the most talented Cleveland Browns roster ever put together about to kick off the season. Now, here's what ESPN's Harry Douglas had to say on this to get you guys up to speed. His heart is in the National Football League, and I will watch this situation. You brought up the Cleveland Browns. That's a situation I will watch. When you watch a Jim Harbaugh football team, they are going to be physical. They are going to have offensive linemen. They are going to have a D-line. They're going to be tough. They're going to have they're going to have running backs, and they're going to have tight ends. They're going to have an athletic quarterback. That's what he has in J.J. McCarthy. That's what he had in Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith when he was with the San Francisco 49ers when he won Coach of the Year in his rookie season. He's had a ton of success in the National Football League. So if Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns don't get it together this year, we already know that ownership and Jimmy Haslam will do anything to get who they want. Don't be surprised. Now, if you thought that was the end of the road for Harbaugh coming to the Browns in August, September now, oh no, there's more. ESPN Cleveland's very own Tony Rizzo said, if you connect the dots, which I don't want to because I want Coach Stefanski to succeed, I'm already hearing rumblings about him coming to the Browns. There are already people putting together connecting dots. Can we not tear down this team before it even gets off the ground? Before we even kick off the season? This is the most Cleveland Browns fan base thing I've ever seen before. The Browns, for once, have a really good team. And we're already talking about firing the coach and replacing him with Jim Harbaugh? Listen, there is a time and place for this conversation. And if the Browns fall flat on their face, no doubt about it, Stefanski's on the hot seat if this team does not win games and go to the postseason. But this is not the time for this conversation. Not in September. Not right now, right? To quote my favorite movie, Step Brothers, remember when Dr. Dale Doback was being asked if Brendan and Dale can make bunk beds in their rooms? And he goes, I guess I'm not making myself perfectly clear. I don't give a fuck. That's how I feel right now about Harbaugh replacing Stefanski in September, before the season even kicks off. No, I'm a little mad at myself for even giving this story this much airtime, but I had to get my 2 cents out. So what's your confidence level in Kevin Stefanski right now? Scale it 1 to 10. 10 being he's going to win a Super Bowl, 1 being it's going to be a colossal failure. I put myself at a 7.1. Let me know what you put your confidence level at for Stefanski down below. Now, while you're typing that number in the comment section, let me tell you really quickly about the sponsor for today, our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet, promo code Browns125. When you put all that information in, they give you a 125% deposit bonus. Now, if you are looking to put some money down on week 1 between the Bengals and the Browns, Cincinnati's 3-point favorites. It's kind of interesting. Joe Burrow is 1-4 against the Browns all time. He is coming off a calf strain and missed all the preseason and training camp. He went 0-2 last year when he missed all of training camp and preseason. But I'm supposed to take the Bengals -3? No. Give me the Browns +3. Scratch that. Give me the Browns money line, baby. Moving on to the third and final segment on today's show. Could the Browns trade for Mike Evans? I'm going to give it 1 Bernie head. I had some people ask me on Twitter about this. It was in the comments section of a video, so I figured we'd kind of bring it up at the end of the show today. Mike Evans, if you have been living under a rock lately, has somewhat requested a trade. Not full-fledged, but there is a disagreement right now on Evans and the Bucs and his future in Tampa Bay. The two sides have yet to come into an agreement on a contract extension. Evans, who is 30 years old, is entering the last year of his contract, and Saturday is the reported deadline he gave Tampa Bay to reach an agreement on an extension, and once the season kicks off, there will be no more contract talks. Now, I am sure Mike Evans wants to be a lifelong Buck, but he also understands this is a business, and he's 30 years old, and he's probably got one more lucrative free agent contract in him before ultimately his paydays stop coming in. The Browns are always interested in getting better. And with Mike Evans, is this team better with Mike Evans on their team or not on their team? I would say on their team. Would you all agree that if you could just pick up Mike Evans and drop him in Cleveland and there's no cost for a trade or contract or anything like that, this team is better with him? Now, of course, we don't live in Candyland. There is a cost to moving Mike Evans from Tampa to Cleveland, but the Browns are always interested in at least seeing what that cost is. Now, Evans, over the last 4 years and his entire NFL career, he's always been a 1,000-yard receiver. So Mike Evans with this wide receiver room would be ridiculous. I mean, look at Cleveland's wide receiver room right now. If you added Evans to this and made him opposite Amari Cooper and put Elijah Moore in the slot, and you had the luxury of Donovan Peoples-Jones coming off your bench, and then Marquise Goodwin to come on to stretch the field, and we don't even get to the next level of Cedric Tillman, who's looked like a pro as a rookie, yeah, this would be the best wide receiver room in the NFL, no questions asked in my eyes. So Mike Evans is probably a bit of a pipe dream right now, but when it comes to the Browns, hand up, who saw the Zadarius Smith trade coming? I didn't. Who saw the Deshaun Watson trade coming? I didn't until like the last moment. Same goes for Amari Cooper. Andrew Berry, he loves a good trade. Do not be surprised if he at least picks up the phone, calls Tampa, and they say, we're looking for a third, and he hangs up. He's like, I'm not doing that. But maybe they come back and say, you know what? We're nowhere near an agreement with Evans. We'll do it for like a 6. He's like, a 6? That's it? All right, you got yourselves a deal right now. To wrap up the show, let's pick a card. We've got producer Trace today, and then one of the newer folks here at Chat Sports, Allie Barefoot. Allie, which card do you want to pick? Ace of Spades, Allie says. Trace?
I'm going to go 9 of Diamonds.
9 of Diamonds. So I got Ace of Spades, 9 of Diamonds. I'm going to go with, give me the Jack of Clubs. Jack of Clubs. This all ends, by the way, before Sunday, week 1. Okay. Queen of clubs. Dang. I have been so close lately. Damn. All right, Queen of clubs. That's going to do it for us on this edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you all later. Super chat coming in from Chef Ruben. What's going on, Chef? We're going to scream this one. How many sacks are we going to get on Burrow? Go Browns. Love it, Chef. How many sacks? Let's say, give me 3.5 sacks. Give me a Myles Garrett sack. Give me a Zadarius Smith sack. Could I fancy you for a Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah sack? And then maybe a half sack coming from Dalvin Tomlinson. Write that down so you don't forget. I'm going to go 3.5 sacks for the Browns against the Bengals.
Hot take. What about, I'm going 4.5.
4.5.
I'm going to go 2 sacks.
You are really trying to win the crowd over right now. I like it.
I just think that the Browns' defensive line, it's nasty.
It's nasty, dude.
It's going to be a problem for the Bengals' offensive line, quite
honestly. It is nasty. We got another super chat flying in. We'll throw that on screen, and then we'll get into the next segment on today's show. But Max Nikolenko, what's going on, dude? Unfortunately, I got to mow my lawn now, but go Browns, Max. Go Browns. Go mow your lawn. Who mows lawns at like 5?
Mow your lawn like the Browns are going to mow the Bengals.
I like that. I live in an apartment, so I never have to worry about mowing a lawn. But you don't have to worry about the fire alarm going off today at 5 a.m. because the fire marshal decided that was the most opportune time to do fire drill testing. It was the most ridiculous thing. It was such a lie. I don't know what BS my apartment building is trying to feed me, but I was not buying it. All right, so we've got another segment coming up before our mailbag, but let me plug really quickly an opportunity to be on said mailbag. If you use hashtag Browns in the chat or you super chat like Chef Ruben and Max just did, we will toss your question on screen for all of our viewers to see. Plus, it's a great way to support the show. So if you like the free content here and you want to kind of go above and beyond, by all means, super chats are a great way to do so. All right, Mr. Gerard, are we ready to jump into the next segment? All right, guys, if you're ready, like the video. We've got 188 people watching right now, just 52 likes. Can we bump the numbers up a little bit, please? How about we start once we get to 60 likes? We're 7 likes away. Get to a nice even round number right there, and then we will get this plane off the ground. 5 likes to go. Once you like the video, you can let me know in the comment section, and I'll be giving some shout-outs right now. We are 1 like away. Let's see. We got Josh. Now we're talking about mowing lawns right now. 59 likes, almost there. Look at it. 192 people. There it is. 61 likes. Okay. Josh, I got 2 acres to mow, but always take my phone and headphones to listen to the Browns Report if you're on. Josh, that literally warms my heart up. I mean, I never thought there would be someone in this world listening to me while they mow their lawn. Actually, funny enough, quick sidebar story here, I parked the car today, Boston. I parked my car today in the parking garage, and when I was coming down the stairs, I was wearing this polo, of course, and some like rando dude walking behind me is like, "Oh, are you a Browns fan?" I was like, "I'll do you one better. Browns YouTube, baby." So I got a free subscriber in the parking lot today. He was from Columbus. He's like, "I'm a Buckeyes fan, but I kind of follow the Browns a little bit." I was like, "All right, well, join the channel." So if you're watching right now, dude who somewhere works in our building, I don't know where. He looked very fancy though, so maybe it could be a big super chatter. He looked like a finance dude. All right, here we go. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about matchups to watch for in this Week 1 game. Week 1 is just around the corner. You can practically taste it at this point when it comes to the Browns and Bengals kicking things off. So we're going to run through some of my top matchups to watch for in this game. Now, quick disclaimer, I am filming today's video during our live show, which airs every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern. So if something gets dated, just roll with the punches. But the first matchup I am watching for, it's a big one. It is Ja'Marr Chase against the Browns DBs. And you notice that I'm leaving it a little bit open-ended because as I film this right now, Denzel Ward is still in concussion protocol, and I can't confidently or definitively say one way or another that Denzel Ward will be playing, but let's proceed as in Denzel Ward is out for this game. Now, some background information on Ja'Marr Chase. He did not play in the first matchup last year. Remember, he had that injury that knocked him out for 5 weeks. But in the second go-around against the Browns, he was really good. 119 yards and 1 touchdown. So Ja'Marr Chase has only played 3 games against Cleveland, but he has not always been at his best in these 3 games. I mean, his 194 yards against the Browns, that is the lowest for Ja'Marr Chase against any AFC North opponent. Now, I also want to go back in time for a moment because Ja'Marr Chase, if you guys remember, talked about the Browns secondary almost 12 months ago to the day. And here's what he said when he asked about the Browns secondary. It's game time when we see them. It's just on site, that's it. Not just because Cleveland talks the most shit. Denzel Ward did his thing. Same for Greg Newsome. I don't think he elite, but they just talk crazy. If Denzel Ward is out for this game, and that's a big if, that's a game changer. But I am ready for Ja'Marr Chase to truly be introduced to second-year pro Martin Emerson, who showed a lot of great things in his rookie season. And if he is tasked with the job of following number 1 around on Sunday, I've got confidence and I've got faith in 23. Because Martin Emerson last year, 63 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 15 pass breakups, still looking for that first INT. And if Denzel Ward can't get the pick 6, I wouldn't mind Martin Emerson being the guy who picks up the slack a little bit. Last year, though, PFF loved Martin Emerson. 23 out of 118 ranked corners. Completion percentage just over 50%. 490 yards allowed and 3 touchdowns given up. But Martin Emerson has been buzzing throughout training camp in the preseason. Everyone has been raving and glowing about how he has looked entering his second year in the NFL. And when you look at Cleveland's cornerback room here, if no Denzel Ward, it comes down to Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, maybe a little bit more than we expected from the rookie Cameron Mitchell, 5th rounder out of Northwestern. They added Halasi from the Chiefs roster cutdown list. And then Mike Ford, who is mostly a special teamer, could get some real playing time as well. But without Denzel Ward, what is your confidence level going up against Ja'Marr Chase? Because we know Ja'Marr Chase has takeover abilities. I don't need to tell anyone for the first time that Ja'Marr Chase is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So if Denzel Ward is not out there following him, what is your confidence level at? Scale it 1 to 10. For me, I'll put myself at a solid 6.5. I can't pretend to be super duper confident that without Denzel Ward, this defense is going to be hunky-dory. But I do think Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome can get the job done and maybe limit the damage and try and reduce the bleeding when it comes to Ja'Marr Chase going off for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Second matchup to watch for here, Myles Garrett against new left tackle Orlando Brown. I think this is going to be the matchup we see a lot. And Myles Garrett, well, Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. We know how awesome Myles Garrett is. Last season, 16 sacks for the second straight season. PFF gave him 73 quarterback pressures. They do their pressure rankings a little bit different than other spots, but 73 is towards the top of the NFL. 60 tackles and 2 forced fumbles. Meanwhile, Orlando Brown. Let's get everyone familiar with the Chiefs' new left tackle. At one time, a trade to Kansas City that's the first round back to Baltimore. Well, since he's been hanging out with Andy Reid and eating barbecue, he's been pretty good. He gave up 4 sacks last year, 6 penalties, 7 hits allowed, and 47 pressures. Now, when you look at his PFF grades overall, he was one of the best tackles in football last year, no question about it. He ranked 19th out of 81 qualifying players, an overall grade of 75.8. So this is not Myles Garrett going up against some Joe Schmo, some rookie that he's going to feast on. It's going to be a battle for Myles Garrett. I'm not going to sell Orlando Brown short. But the good news is Myles Garrett has an awesome guy opposite of him in Zadarius Smith. And when Zadarius Smith gets a little bit tired, Okoronkwo steps onto the field. And if Dalvin Tomlinson gets a little bit tired coming up the middle, Shelby Harris comes on the field. This Browns defensive line, it has horses. It's got guys. It's got dudes. And it's got Jim Schwartz leading them. A Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. The Bengals are going to get their first taste of what Myles Garrett looks like with Jim Schwartz and Zadarius Smith complementing number 95. Because so far, lucky for them, they've had to just deal with Myles Garrett doing it all by himself. Now, he's got some company. He's got some ammunition. He's got some guys supporting him. and it's going to be a long day for Burrow and the Bengals. Now, before we get into the next matchup to watch for, I just want to do a quick scheduling alert to get you guys on your radar for this. We have a live show every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Plus, we do watch parties for every single game. So we will get started 30 minutes before kickoff, which will be 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you tune in for a watch party if you've never have before. It's a blast. Everyone in the comment section can vouch for it. It's a great way to take in a Browns football game. My third matchup to watch for in this game, Amari Cooper against cornerback Chidobe Awuzie. So the former duo in Dallas now meets opposite of one another, and it's going to be a really fun matchup to watch for. First, Amari Cooper. We have seen this stat probably tossed around a little bit now, but he has some opportunities to make history, and let's be honest, it's a little bit sad. But he can become the first receiver in Cleveland Browns history to post consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He's coming off a very strong year. PFF ranked him 15th out of 113 qualifying wide receivers, and that's with him basically running around with like no abs for the last 4 weeks of the season. Now, he does have some familiarity with Awuzie, who they overlapped with in Dallas together from 2018 to 2020. Now, last year, Cooper with a run-first offense and Jacoby Brissett slinging the rock, and this is no slander against Brissett, but Brissett's usually not the quarterback that gets a receiver over 1,000 yards. Amari Cooper and Jacoby Brissett were awesome together. The connection between him and Watson wasn't ever quite there, but Cooper still put up 1,100-plus yards and 9 scores to go along with it. Now, on the other side of the coin, it is the Bengals cornerback Awuzie, who unfortunately tore his ACL in Week 8 of last year against the Browns, if you remember that. Of course, missed the rest of the season, but he is shaping up to be ready to go for Week 1 against Cleveland, and the Bengals are very excited to have him back because he was having, I want to say, a career year up until that ACL injury. 35 tackles, 5 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. Now, here's what Chidobe said about his relationship with Amari Cooper. Everybody knows he's one of the greatest route runners our generation has seen, the way he gets in and out of breaks. I mean, Amari Cooper is not getting paid because of his elite speed. He's got a great route running ability, and he's got surefire hands, and he is a quarterback's best friend. But Deshaun Watson's bounce back season, the return, the getting back on top of the mountain, it has to start with number 2, right? I just don't see a way Deshaun Watson gets back to the top of the quarterback food chain without Amari Cooper being right alongside him the entire time. It's going to take more guys. It'll take a nice complimentary back in Nick Chubb. It's going to take an elite offensive line. You don't get to the top by doing it all by yourself. But Amari Cooper, as his go-to wide receiver 1, he's got to be there step for step with him, and that's why that matchup with Awuzie is a big one to watch for. Now, before we get on out of here to the rest of our segments, make sure you check out our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Browns125. When you put all that information in, they give you a 125% deposit bonus. Now, you can put some money down on the Browns +3 because I am all over Cleveland +3 against the Bengals. In fact, I'm taking the Browns money line. So ride with me over at chatsports.com/bet, promo code Browns125. Fourth matchup to keep an eye on. This one is going to get in the feels a little bit. I'm going to go with Kevin Stefanski against Zach Taylor. This is cheating a little bit when it comes to true matchups to watch for, but both coaches right now are dealing with injuries. Of course, you have Joe Burrow dealing with a calf injury, and as I film this right now, he is slated to be able to play, but it's a bit of a question mark. And then you've got Denzel Ward dealing with a concussion right now, the 4th of his NFL career. But Kevin Stefanski, some background on him. He's entering year 4 as the Browns head coach, 26-24 all-time, 1-1 in the postseason. He's unfortunately coming off back-to-back losing seasons. Now, he does have Cincinnati's number. He's 5-1 against the Bengals all time. But we've heard so much talk, so much chatter about Kevin Stefanski being the guy to drive the bus when it comes to a Deshaun Watson-led offense in Cleveland. So, Kevin, let's see what you've been up to all offseason. Because I remember when Deshaun Watson got traded to the Browns, one of the big storylines was Watson and Stefanski sat down and they went over film, and Stefanski said, if I was your head coach, this is what I would do, and the two reportedly kind of fell in love at that moment. Now is the time to see what this brand new offense looks like, right? An offense that Deshaun Watson said, it's new, it's different. It might take a game or two to ease in, but it can't take much longer because the Browns have a very difficult schedule right off the bat with all 4 division opponents and a tough out in the Tennessee Titans. So you know what? It's going to have to pay off quickly. And Stefanski, I want to see what you've been up to all offseason long. 5th and final matchup to watch for, this is like a Dabo Sweeney, cheese ball by me here. But I'm going to go with the Browns against the media, meaning the players themselves, they are online. They know what is being said about them. And they know that no one is really giving the Browns that much of a chance. There is a lot of disrespect for the Cleveland Browns this season. And some of it is warranted. Browns won 7 games last year. Who are we to just crown them as a 12-win team the next year? But you know what? If this roster was in pretty much any other city, if it was the New York Browns, how different would the win predictions be across the NFL, right? How different would the national perception be about the Browns' ability to be successful on the year be? But because it's the Cleveland Browns, no one's really giving them much of a chance. No one's looking at them. You might see an outlet give them a 10-7 prediction, but no one is looking at this team the way I am. No one is looking at this team going, Deshaun Watson, Pro Bowl All-Pro talent. Nick Chubb, best running back in the NFL. Offensive line, if Jed Wills is the weakest link and he would be a starting left tackle and an upgrade for several NFL teams, you're doing something right up front. The wide receiver room, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, all very skilled players. And defensively, Jim Schwartz driving the bus. Myles Garrett, all-pro caliber player. Zadarius Smith. The list goes on and on. Denzel Ward. I could spend all day talking about the talent on this team. But no one really seems to be giving them much of a chance. So for the Browns, it is up to them to make a statement, to knock off one of the AFC juggernauts in the first week of the season and really plant their flag and go, we are here. We are here to play, and we are here to contend with the best of the best in the AFC. So to wrap up the show, predict the score for me. Browns versus Bengals. What is your score prediction? It's always silly trying to predict the score far in advance, but you know what? Just do your best here. Let me know what your score prediction is down in the comment section. Give me the Browns. I'll probably change it a dozen times. But right at this moment, I'm feeling Browns 30, Bengals 24. To wrap up the show, let's pick up a card and see what's on the other side of it. Trace, which card do you want to go with?
Give me the 8 of hearts.
8 of hearts? I like that pick. I'm going to go with the 5 of clubs. What'd you say?
8 of hearts.
8 of clubs.
Oh, man.
8 of clubs. Damn, that's close. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to come hang out and tune in for this edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. We've got a $20 super chat coming in from John Smith. Let's go, John. On behalf of all the amazing Browns fans here today, we thank you for your passion and fabulous show. John, you're going to make me cry in front of Trace, and he's going to call me a loser. But you know what? I don't care. John, that's very nice. Thank you so much. This really made my day. This is a very nice comment.
Everyone type John in the comments.
Yeah, great
type
idea by
John.
Trace. John. Let's go, John. Thank you so much for your donation, your contribution to the show, and for your very kind words. I really appreciate it, dude. That's awesome. I love to see that. And you know what? I've got the best job in the world because I love talking brownies with the dog pound. Next one up on the show is a mailbag, though. So get those questions in. You can super chat like my new BFF John Smith just did. And if you ask a question in the super chat, Trace Gerard is going to throw that on screen for everyone to see. Or you can go into the chat right now and you can type your question in. Just include hashtag Browns somewhere in your question. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. The software, it just goes kaput. It doesn't know what it wants. It doesn't know what it's looking for. So make it nice and simple for Trace. Hashtag Browns somewhere in your question, beginning, middle, end of your chat. Okay. We got Peter typing John. Tyman the Buckeyes typing John. John, you're awesome, dude. I love it. I love you. Thank you, John. Okay. Are we ready to jump into a mailbag? Do we need some more questions? Or are we kind of good? All right. We've got 201 people watching right now. 88 likes. That's just not very nice, I think. One of my coworkers, Marshall Green, has a great saying. When you go over to your friend's house, do you take your shoes off when you go inside? Or do you just stomp all over the place with your muddy shoes? Take your shoes off. If you're going to stop by the Browns Report, like the video. That way you're being a good house guest. We're at 90 likes. We'll get this show on the road once we get up to 100. 8 likes away. Love to see it. I love Amanda just screaming. Is Taki ready? Amanda, I love the passion behind that question. 7 likes to go and 5 likes to go, and then we will jump into a mailbag. One last plug. If you want to guarantee your question on screen, you can super chat, and then Trace kind of puts that right in the front of the line. It's like a fast pass system, and your question goes on for all of our viewers to see. Otherwise, Trace just kind of picks his favorite questions. So we'll see what Trace is feeling like today. 2 likes away. Hand of God. All right, 2 likes away. I've got Chubathon saying go Browns. I think we'll go 11-6. At one point, I thought 10-7. Bumping that up, baby. I'm at 12-5. I'm that pumped about this season. 100 likes. There we go. Okay. Wow, 2 people unliked it. That was very. Oh, we're back. Oh, we're back to 98. Okay, there we go. Back to 100. All right. Are we ready to get the show on the road? All right, guys. Let's get into a Cleveland Browns mailbag. Mailbag time here on the Cleveland Browns Report. We've got a lot of questions to answer going into the first game of the 2023 NFL season for the Browns against the Cincinnati Bengals. And so we start things off with a super chat question coming in from Chef Rubin. I won't scream it like Chef wants me to, but how many sacks are we going to get on Burrow? Give me 4 sacks, actually. Give me 4 sacks. We're going to get 2 sacks from Myles Garrett, 1 sack from Zadarius Smith, and give me a half sack between Dalvin Tomlinson and Shelby Harris. Boom. Those are 4 sacks right there. Give me 4. John Smith, this is a really nice super chat we'll throw on screen really quickly. But on behalf of all the amazing Browns fans here today, we're doing the show during our live show, which airs every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern. We thank you for your passion and fabulous show. John, shout out to you. Everyone type Go Browns in the comment section for John. All right, James, next one up. Are we getting Chris Jones or no? No. I do not see a Chris Jones trade happening. I know that all the contract restructures clears cap space for it. But all it does is it clears cap space for 2023, right? All the contract restructures raise future cap hits. Now, the Browns are going to roll all this money over. So that money rolled over, plus the increase in the cap, is actually going to reduce the players' cap hits. I know it sounds a bit strange, but Andrew Berry's got the money to spend because he's a rich owner like Jimmy Haslam, who goes, hey, we're not cutting these players on the last year of their deal. So you can restructure them, backload the contracts, and I'm happy paying them out. I'm not a cheap SOB that wants to cut guys the moment all their guaranteed money is up. So I know that the restructures paved the way for it, but I'd be blown away if the Browns got Chris Jones. Skyline Chili sucks. What is your Browns versus Bengals score prediction? Okay. I feel like score predictions change a million times before kickoff. But at this present moment, Tuesday afternoon, give me Browns 30, Bengals 24. But let me know what your score predictions are. Browns versus Bengals. Chime in down in the comment section. Cincinnati coming to Cleveland. Who you got by how much? I'll take the Brownies by 6, 30-24. Depressed Browns fan, what's going on, dude? Will Dorian Thompson-Robinson be good enough if Watson goes down? The Browns added P.J. Walker to their practice squad, and he'll be activated on game days. Now, just so you guys know, when you activate that practice squad quarterback, if your starter gets hurt, you can't put the emergency QB in. Both quarterbacks on the roster have to be medically ruled out of the game for that emergency QB to come in. So don't think like maybe they'll go to PJ Walker because he's got more experience. DTR is the backup. If something happens to Watson, he is the only guy able to go in until he gets hurt, and then PJ Walker could come in. But will he be good enough? We'll find out. He looked great in the preseason against a lot of backups. I can't tell you one way or another how that's going to translate to starting players, but he was making very good throws that it doesn't matter who was on the field. He put the ball where it needed to be, on time, on the money. So I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson definitely showcased a lot of trust for the Browns to believe in him if he has to go into the game at some point. Jacob, next one up. What do you think of Denzel Ward on possible retirement after 4 concussions? Well, like I said, we're filming this on Tuesday, so I don't quite know his game status at the moment. But I do think there are, some reasoning to believe that maybe Denzel Ward could possibly hang it up. 4 concussions in, 5 years now? 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, 6 years, I guess. Yeah, I don't think you're Jacob. I don't think you're crazy for thinking of this. I think the counter side will be there's $50 million waiting for Denzel Ward if he does not retire. So are we going to see him put his body through the tests and through the limits for $50 million, or will Denzel Ward be happy with the money that he has collected so far and walk away a little bit like Andrew Luck did? And no one saw Andrew Luck retiring. What do I think of it? I think it's got a chance. I don't think it's a high chance. But I think it's greater than non-zero. I'm not going to say, for selfish reasons, Denzel Ward must stay, right? If Denzel Ward is tired of having scrambled eggs for brain because he keeps getting concussions, by all means, he's got the right to go walk away from the game, and I'm not going to be mad at him for that. But, of course, for our own selfish reasons, I want Denzel Ward to be healthy and then play for the Browns. Peter, next one up. What do you think the first 5 to 10 games look like record-wise? All right, Peter, good question. First game against the Bengals, you've got first week you have the Bengals, and then you've got the Steelers, Titans, Ravens, and a bye. So in that 4-game stretch, Bengals, Steelers, Titans, Ravens, I think 2-2 would be a very good mark to have. There's a lot of tough teams right there. If you can knock off the Bengals and the Steelers, but maybe the Titans kind of catch your number at home and a tough game against the Ravens, that wouldn't blow me away. Or you can kind of move the losses wherever you want. But if you're 2-2 after that stretch going into the bye, you are still very much in the thick of it. Coming out of the bye, 49ers, Colts, Seahawks, Cardinals, Ravens, Steelers. I'm going to say in the first 3 games right there of 49ers, Colts, Seahawks, 2-1's the minimum, right? Maybe you go 3-0, but 2-1 is the minimum. So that gets you at 4 wins and 3 losses. And then the next 3 games, we're talking Cardinals, Ravens, Steelers. Again, 2-1 has to be the minimum. Whether that's splitting Pittsburgh and Baltimore and beating the Cardinals, that gets you to 6 wins, 8 wins, 8-5. And then you can rattle off, 3 to 4 more wins right there, and you're at 11 to 12 wins. So after the first 10 games, I think 7-3, right? First 10 games, give me 7-3, 6-4, or 7-3 is the number I'm shooting. 6-4, I'm just kind of going in circles right now, but I hate record prediction. It's impossible to do this so far in advance. But first 5 to 10 games look like 10 games in, I'll go Browns 7-3. That was exhausting. I hate record predictions. King of the CLE. Any chance of signing Leonard Fournette still? I think the Browns could use an extra running back. Is there a chance? Sure, especially if Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong aren't looking like, the guys you want them to be. But I don't know if the Browns are all that interested in Leonard Fournette specifically. We can throw up his stats from last year. It was not a good year for Leonard Fournette. And the entire Buccaneers running game was atrocious. They got bailed out by the Rams for having a slightly worse ground game, if I recall correctly. I think Leonard Fournette's a big, recognizable name, and it's just going to look a lot cooler on paper going Nick Chubb and Leonard Fournette. How are you going to stop these two? And Leonard Fournette, the goal line would be awesome to kind of, lighten some of the touches for Nick Chubb and not take some of the big hits against the jumbo packages. So if the Browns sign Leonard Fournette, I won't be unhappy about it. But I think Andrew Berry ultimately wants to see how Jerome Ford and the guy he traded for, Pierre Strong Jr., look before going to the free agency market. But what do you think? Should the Browns sign a running back? Y for yes or N for no? Give me your honest opinion down below in the comment section. When it comes to signing a running back, I'm open to it, but I don't think it's going to happen unless, the Browns don't like what they see out of Ford or Pierre Strong Jr. and something happens to Nick Chubb. Chef Ruben with another super chat. 4 sacks, bro. Who's excited about this D? Woof. Yeah, I think this defense could really make a statement. I expect the defense to come out looking a little bit better in the first few weeks than the offense. That tends to be par for the course for a lot of teams as the offense kind of tries to catch up a little bit. But this defense under Jim Schwartz, they're going to be flying, baby. We got a $5 super chat coming in from Ray Bidding. I expect Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith to test Joey B's calf right away. I'm not quite sure how mobile Joe Burrow is going to be. I have never suffered a calf injury, so I don't know what that's like. But you're right. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to be able to maybe climb the pocket as well at times or extend plays. So if Garrett and Smith kind of beat their tackle and get that bend and get around the edge, it might be a little bit tougher for Burrow to step aside and avoid some of these guys. And it might be, if you can breathe on him, you're going to sack him. Now, before we get to the remaining questions on the show, we've got an awesome deal over at Fanatics. Go score this awesome Browns hoodie. 50% off. Chatsports.com/CLE hoodie. That link is right there in the comments and the description of today's show. I love this hoodie, and I think it's a great time to get a hoodie while it's on sale before the fall months really get here. Chris with a $5 super chat. Let's be honest. In 2023, the bar has been raised since 2020. To be an elite QB, will 2020 Watson be enough, or will he have to step up and reach new limits? Chris, I think we're kind of overarching getting at here is the top 10 listed quarterbacks in the NFL is a really good spot right now because there are so many great quarterbacks. Like the fact that Kirk Cousins, who we all make jokes about, is not a top 10 quarterback by all accounts right now. Like statistically, if you put him up against the 2012 QBs after Brady, Rivers, Roethlisberger, and Manning, he would, dance on Eli Manning's regular season grave. He'd be all over Jay Cutler and whatnot. But because of how loaded the quarterback class is right now and just the state of the NFL, you're right. Like, I think if Watson puts up the same numbers he did in 2020, he would be an elite quarterback. 4,800 plus yards, that's elite quarterback play. But maybe throwing for 4,000 yards doesn't cement you enough to be an elite quarterback in this day and age because there are a lot of guys like Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins who put up big-time numbers, but no one really thinks of them because how can you when you've got a long list of quarterbacks with Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, Aaron Rodgers? We're already halfway to 10 right there. Trevor Lawrence, 7. So Watson will definitely have to put up big numbers to get back towards the top of the mountain. We got a first-time super chatter, $5 super chat coming in from Noah Scott. Do you see Luke Whippler being the swing guard and them allowing Nick Harris to be the backup? I think Michael Dunn is going to be your swing guard. I could see him being elevated on game days from the practice squad. Very curious to see what kind of role Luke Whippler has. But I do agree, Noah, that if something were to happen to Posick, I think Nick Harris would be the first guy off the bench and filling in at center. But Whippler, for now, I think they're trying to make him as versatile as possible. And maybe he gets some good running at guard. The good news is Joel Petonio, knock on wood, is an Iron Man. And hopefully Wyatt Teller gets back to being healthy. And we don't have to worry about replacing any of the guys up front. To wrap up the show, we are going to pick a card. Now, this might be the last card draw of the entire offseason, Trace.
Boo.
I know. It's sad to say out loud. Which card do you want to go with?
I'm going to go 4 of hearts for the last one.
4 of hearts?
Yep.
I'm going to go with... Give me King of Diamonds. What if I can hit it again on King of Diamonds?
I like it.
All right, King of Diamonds. One last cut. Queen of Hearts.
No.
That is tough. Tough. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's mailbag. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you guys on Sunday for Browns-Bengals. Should the Browns sign a running back? Give me your opinion down below in the comment section. Did anyone get it right? I had to itch my nose this whole time. No, I don't see a Queen of Hearts, and that's a bummer right there. Okay, wow. I mean, hand up. That record prediction put my brain in a pretzel. I just put myself down a mouth. I don't quite know what happened there. I got lost in the schedule, baby. That happens. Sometimes you just start looking too many games in advance, and you go win, loss, and you're like, whoa, I don't know where I am at this point. But I think I walked away thinking 6-4 probably. I maybe should have said it in the video. Oh, well. Schedule predictions, can't stand them. Cannot stand them. All right, Don Kennedy got it right. Don, let's go. Did I miss Don? What did Don say? Don Kennedy, Queen of Hearts. There it is. Okay, you went the abbreviation. Don, shout out to you. That's awesome. That's incredible. That's got to be a top feeling right there. Getting the card right. You walk out of this stream, big dick in the locker room. I know cards. You don't know cards. All right, Don, shout out to you. Well, unless we get some more super chats, we do have to sign off. I know Trace has a lot of work to get done here at Chat Sports, but he's very nice to offer up some time to come produce this live show for us. So everyone can go spam Trizzy Trace down in the comment section. Trace, to wrap up the show, unless we get another super chat in the next 30 seconds or so, do you want to give the audience a Browns record prediction? As well, you can say your own background yourself as a Saints guy. So you kind of come into this with no, real horse in the race or anything like that. But Trace, what is your record prediction for the Browns?
So I really like your take. So a couple weeks ago, months ago, I would have said 10, 11 wins. Like
Yeah.
you did. I like the 12-win take. I'm thinking 12,
nice.
11 wins is very doable.
I was thinking driving into work today, 12's more than 11.
It is.
And a big brain moment right there.
And that's like it's like a note, like 11 and 12, or a 12 and 5 is very different than 11 and 6.
Dude, if you get 12 wins, everyone's like, all right, they're not messing around. They mean ball.
I'm also all in on the Browns this year. I think that they could have a really good season. I'm excited for the Browns.
I'm excited.
I'm hoping to have a couple watch parties with the Browns fans.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Trace is he's the CEO of Fun at Chat Sports.
Yes.
Noah Scott with a $2 super chat. If the Browns get stuffed in the run, what to do? What to do? Turn your $230 million quarterback. That's what you do if Nick Chubb is having a bad day at the office, which Nick Chubb has had some bad days before. This is not going to be a first if that were to happen. I feel like last year, was it the Bills game where he just could not really get going? Maybe someone can help me in the chat section. There was a game last year where I think it was I think he had a big touchdown run against the Dolphins. There was a game last year like Chubb's just not on it right now. But the Browns get stuffed. If Nick Chubb walks away with like 68 yards and 15 carries or whatever, it is Deshaun Watson throwing the ball 40 times, maybe even more, and lighting it up through the air. That's what the plan B is. And plan B is really plan A. Deshaun Watson is going to throw the ball a ton this year. We got a $5 super chat coming in from Sal Butera. Shout out to everyone going to be there at First Energy in person. Woof. Sal, I love the super chat. If I could just tweak one thing, this is going to take some getting used to for all of us, and I'm definitely going to have to take a drink every time I get it wrong. No more First Energy. It is Cleveland Browns Stadium. They have yet to find a new sponsor, but this will take some getting used to. But you're right. I'm sure that I think it's not going to be as bad, but it'll be like the switch of going from Indians to Guardians. I still find myself saying like the Indians are playing the Royals tonight. Like
I still say Oakland Raiders.
Oakland Raiders. I still say San Diego Chargers a ton. I don't like the LA Chargers part. It's San Diego Chargers. I don't think anyone ever said the St. Louis Rams once they left. Has there a team that's been more forgotten than the Rams being in St. Louis? Does anyone greatest show on turf? But outside of that, no one thinks about the Rams being in St. Louis. Aaron Donald played in St. Louis.
It's weird to think
that no one thinks that. No one thinks that right there. Okay, that's gonna do it for us on today's live show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This has been awesome. I love hanging out with the Dog Pound, but I cannot wait for week 1. Browns, Bengals from Cleveland Browns Stadium, and the Cleveland Browns get off to a 1-0 start.